First thing we want to talk about in relation to greens is how to mix them and how to get the best color green for what you need. In our kits we have 2 blues, 2 yellows, and we also have sap green. So if we were to take just sap green by itself and put it on our page, you can see that it's kind of a warm, it's kind of a nice warm green. Generally it doesn't quite line up with the natural greens of leaves and stems. So often that needs to be modified. We also have Prussian blue, we have ultramarine blue, we have lemon yellow, and we have cadmium yellow pale. By combining these, we can get a variety of greens. So let's see what happens when we put things together with sap green. Now this will change depending on the saturation of the green. We'll go with a medium value of sap green. So we need to let that dry. So we're going to do this with these other colors too. So I'm going to set this up so that we have 5 rows of color here, and we can see what happens with them depending on what you're putting on top. So here's our ultramarine, and you'll see that I'm not making anything too dark because you want to be able to layer these colors. Now you can do it in 2 ways. You can either mix the colors in the tray, or you can use them in glaze fashion where you're laying color on top of one another. I think in the beginning you probably should just mix your colors so that you feel a little bit more confident, because sometimes the glazing can get a little heavy if you're not comfortable with that technique. So let's start. We'll put a little Prussian blue on top of the sap green and see what happens. Just a light wash, and we'll lay that across and see how it adjusts the green. Let's put the French ultramarine on here. And you can see it's a little more muted, and there's red in that ultramarine. So you're all of a sudden now combining the 3 primaries in the ultramarine with the sap green. Let's try the lemon yellow. You can see how that lightens up the green and makes it even more yellow green. And the last thing we'll do is the cadmium yellow pale. Now with the cadmium yellow pale, you are going to block out some of the green underneath because cadmium yellow is an opaque pigment, so it is going to adjust the amount of green that you see through the process. All right, so let's do Prussian blue. So we're going to take and we're going to put some, we already know what sap green's going to do. Let's see what happens when we add a little ultramarine blue. So nothing happens, it just makes it more blue. Now let's go to the lemon yellow. Just a little bright. So the last one we're going to do is cadmium yellow. All right, ultramarine, I'm going to put some sap green on top. Again, you'll see that this is similar to this, only different layering. Let's put the lemon yellow as next. Our next layer. And then our cadmium yellow pale. Now, here are yellows. We can go back to sap green. Put a little sap green on the top. Then we're going to do Prussian blue, ultramarine. Now the last one, which is cad yellow light. Glaze over that. And then we'll do Prussian blue. And you'll get, and then finally ultramarine. You can really see the difference here between the Prussian blue and the ultramarine. Now, all of these greens are all a little bit bright for botanical organics. So sometimes you need to have a little touch of the complement in the mix. So we don't want to put a lot in, you just want enough to alter the color. So let's take and put a little bit of red on top of that. I'm using permanent rose. Let's put a little permanent rose on here and see what it does. Okay. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and 3. You can see how just by adding a little neutral, you can adjust these greens quite adequately and get almost everything that you need.